to the show. The Michael Experience. Yeah, welcome to the show. The Michael Experience. Welcome to the show. Your story, your voice, step in. Yeah, feel it grow. Life lessons, love, that's the journey. Here we go.
Dating just doesn't feel the same anymore. And I think social media and dating apps have a lot to do with that. So let's talk about it. This is the Michael Experience, and I am your orator and originator, Michael. And these are my thoughts, my life, my way. All right. So I've been single now for 3 years. It's crazy. Today actually marks 3 years, right? That I've been single. I went through a breakup or whatnot because the person that I was with decided they wanted to be with somebody else. And so that's okay. It happens. But I met that person on social media and I was doing a live LGT, call it Let's Go There live, called LGT Let's Go There. And he would come in every week and he was just super sweet. He would always be defending my honor in the comments anytime somebody got out of order. And he would just send me the sweetest DMs and stuff like that. He was always complimenting what I was wearing and how I looked and all those things. I just was like, okay, all right. So, but yeah, so I met him in the social media space, right? So fast forward 3 years after having, excuse me, longer than 3 years because we were together for 5 years. But fast forward, right? It's 3 years post being in a relationship now 8 years after we've been together, and I've been getting back out into the dating sphere, and I'm like, "I don't know what is going on. Something feels off in the dating situation." And one of the things that I noticed is that it social media has changed how we see ourselves, how we see our options, and our expectations. So I want to be clear about this in this moment. And where I want this conversation to go. Um, this is just me being honest. This is my grounded way of talking through this. I'm not bitter. I'm not trying to be preachy or anything like that, but I am going to be real about the experiences. And I think this is a conversation that everybody can benefit from. So there is this thing where apps and social media create this shopping mentality. And it is the illusion that people have unlimited options out there because everything is at the touch of your fingers. You can just click an app, you can swipe right on somebody, or you can swipe left on somebody. Now, I believe when those dating apps came out, I don't know what my involvement with those dating apps was in the beginning, probably casually at the time, but there is definitely a psychology of having endless choices, right? It means that people become replaceable. It means that people's attention spans are shrinking. And that's just with everything out in the world, right? Everybody consumes everything in 30-second sound bites and clips. And so anything that takes longer to get to a feeling of excitement or the next phase, they're like, okay, let me go over here and get another hit of this quick dopamine instead of for the long haul, right? Instead of being in it for the long haul. So there's that. And then commitment feels optional. Like, say the thing, commitment then feels optional because commitment requires real work. It requires sacrifice. It requires navigating and sifting through some very tough emotions. And so, why do that when there's somebody over here? You know what I mean? I can just go over here and it can be easy breezy again. But the thing about that is this grass is greener effect that a lot of people have. It really does impact how people build relationships, right? Because the moment that something gets hard, right, whether it is one of you going through something or both of you going through something, whether that's emotional, financial, whether there's a physical thing happening, right, an illness or whatever the case may be, that grass is greener mentality has people quick to move on. It's like, I don't want to sift through that emotional language. You're asking me to dig deeper. You're asking me to do too much. You're asking me to actually show up and participate. And that's too much. I can casually float over here. So I want to talk about, when people view you as an option, right? I want to talk about that. For me, I have been on so many dates in this 3 years that I have been single. I mean, too many to count, to be honest with you. And what I can say is I can oftentimes tell when somebody is really treating me like an option. And I always say to my friends, I always know when someone is really interested when and if they are asking things to get to know me. Because that's the only way that it works is if you're taking an active interest in what I like to do, what makes me upset, what makes me angry, what are my, my long-term lifetime goals? Like what are those things? So I always say when no one is doing that, when the absence of those questions and that discovery are in there, I'm like, that person is just here for a quick hit. I'm like, that person is just here to waste some time. They're here hoping that we can screw around or whatever the case may be, but that person really isn't invested in anything. And I believe at the moment that you call those people to the task of actually putting forth effort in a relationship, they're going to leave and go on over to something else. And I've seen that so many times where I'll be like, let me just see, right? At first, I was like, let me just see how long it can go. And then I got to a place where I was like, oh, you're only getting a couple of weeks. I was like, oh, you're only getting a couple of weeks. And it really was 2 weeks. When I mean a couple, I do mean two. And I was like, "Okay, you got 2 weeks and then I'm out of here, whatever." And some people thought that that was crazy of me to say, and I was like, "No, the real basic the basic qualities, the basic building blocks of a relationship are truly trying to get to know the individual, understanding how they operate when they're upset, how do they respond when they're angry, when they're sad, like how do they respond when they have a hard day at work, how do they respond?" So those are things that you should be actively trying to figure out as you are meeting someone and getting to know them. You should be asking questions about likes and dislikes. And I don't care nothing about I mean, favorite colors and shit like that are cute too, but like at 40, right? I'm thinking I got 20 good years left with somebody before shit starts going, catty dilly wonky and crazy, right? My knees are already telling me they playing on me or whatever. These ain't Megan's knees. These is Megan's second cousin, twice removed knees. Okay, they still pop blocking and dropping, but they might also fall. Okay, and can't get up too. Okay, hello, life alert. I fall against somebody help me up. It's a very real thing though. I'm like, I only have probably a good 20 years left before there are things that just inevitably happen to myself or either of us. And I need to know that whoever I'm moving to this next chapter of my life with is there for the long haul.
I hope you're the one for sure. I'm down to try this love thing. I hope you're really about it. You get my heart and my soul. This just ain't some talk. This is a solid promise. So are you trying to love me? Are you that somebody?
They are looking for forever. They're looking for building the next 20 as great as we can have it and then figuring out what the rest of it looks like, but I don't have time for people that are popping in and popping out and popping in and popping out. They see something that looks good. They want to taste it. They want to feel it. They want to experience the thing. So I have just been like, you know what? If I don't see the core makeup, if I don't see them trying to get to know me, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. But again, back to what I said, this social media thing and this shopping mentality has people thinking like there are endless options because I can just jump into another DM. I can jump into another DM. I can get another person with a good body or a piece of body or whatever else you're looking for in a person. And so that's the thing or whatever. What I will say is I haven't caught myself treating people that way because that is not my intention. But I would like to think that I was aware enough, self-aware enough, and just situationally aware enough to if that was beginning to be the thing that I would just say, okay, like let me step out of this or whatever. Like let me go ahead on and step away from this or whatever. But if you find yourself doing that, I would start to question some things like, are you really in it for the relationship? Or are you just in there for a good time? Right. And are you being honest about that? So I also want to talk about as we move through social culture and all of these things, comparison and unrealistic expectations. Comparison culture is real, right? How curated feeds distort what healthy relationships look like. Couples goes. And we don't know anything about the people other than the few things that they shared with us. Like Christy and Desmond were Christy and Desmond Scott were on the internet. They were showing her things. Christy, big personality, wild, fun, audacious, all the things that I love because I think she is really my spirit twin. I do believe she is my spirit twin because we have some of the same, like, just do the crazy thing and whatever. And then there's Desmond. Desmond is a very laid back personality and all those things. I believe they were complementary personalities, but people were screaming couples goals, couples goals, couples goals. And then when they recently got a divorce, everybody started picking and pulling at their relationship. Like, I knew she was going to get on his nerves. That man ain't never had a moment of rest or peace since he been with her. And I'm like, they grew up together. These were teenage, lovers, and they married each other. They did the family thing, and it just didn't work, right? But nobody knows what's going on behind the scenes. When people perceived it to be great, everybody's like, "Oh my God, I want to be just like Desmond and Christy." And then the moment they broke up, I just knew. So comparison culture has created and fueled these unrealistic expectations and this unhealthy comparison about what relationships really look like. Everybody has their individual thing, but there's so many people that are looking at others and what they're portraying on the internet and saying, "Oh my God, I got to go after that thing. I have to go after that thing." You have to understand that those feeds are curated. The cute dates, the romantic things, those are curated for social media. And yes, some of it is real, but there are very, very real things happening beneath the surface that are not being shown. And that's okay because some things are meant to be private and intimate. But you have to understand that seeing something on the internet is not it's not reality. It is not the full reality anyway. And so comparison culture has a lot of people stepping sideways and stepping, into all of these different things, hoping to find that perfection that really doesn't exist. Um, and then I think there are couples that fall out because there is a there's a pressure to perform love online, and then there's aesthetics over intimacy. I think those are very real things that happen on the internet, and I hate to see couples get swept up in it because what I know about being on the internet and being a content creator at this particular point in my life is that, again, some people get very like starry and glossy eyed over numbers, right? Likes and follower counts, really follower counts, and the things that look good, and they, oh my God, that's just a perfect this and perfect that. But when it's a relationship and you have shared so much of your relationship with people, and then people begin to feel like they're a part of your relationship. And I'm like, uh-oh. And I think I'm loving this discourse and this conversation around parasocial connections and parasocial attachments because they are very real. These are people that you've never met in real life, never had really any in-depth conversations with, but for some reason you have formed a bond and some type of codependent, not even codependency, but self-dependency on that person, right? And so there does begin to be pressure to perform love online, and then people are now prioritizing aesthetics over intimacy. So when I see couples on the internet, I love some couples on the internet. I do. I love, love, love. I love a few couples, and I'm blanking right now. Oh my God, Kasan and Amari, Kasan and Amari. I absolutely love them. In my head, they are my little brothers, and they live so authentically. Right? I don't see them doing like the crazy outfits and stuff like that. Now they do things that are for social media consumption, but I feel like they do a very good job of showing the world the rugged parts, the hard parts. And so they've done the thing where they've invited people in and they're like, you know what? We're not going to just give you the one thing. We're going to give you all of it so that you can see. And I think those of us that are looking for something deeper and more meaningful, we can appreciate the value in that, the authenticity, the altruistic parts of them that show up in the situation, the little arguments that happen. Those are very, very real. And I love their depiction. And I remember watching one of their videos recently, and I was like, you guys, you just don't know how important what you guys are doing is for the culture. You guys are doing something really, really important and really, really necessary. And I told them that on their post, and they responded. So shout out to them. They have shown me love as I've shown them love on the internet, but I love seeing relationships like that where they are not. They're doing it the right way, in my opinion. And there's stuff that I know they reserve for themselves. And my prayer for them is that they continue to keep things for themselves. They continue to disconnect when they feel like, wait a minute, this is getting to be a little bit too much. We're getting to be a little too wrapped up in this. Let's, well, wait a minute, boo. Sometimes come back. So I love that they're doing that. My hope is that they continue to do that. They will continue to have a healthy relationship and bond and grow. And they're doing the separate things. Beautiful stuff, beautiful stuff. But we need to see more relationships like that where people are seeing the things that are just real, right? And then there's the opposite side of that, where there's the rise of relationship influencers that are shaping the expectations that don't really match real life. Um, and there are people that get together. You know what relationship influencers are. They get together and everything is a curated moment. Everything is so cute. It's the Gucci bag sitting on the car. It's the bow on top of a vehicle that they didn't need. It's the always posing up on the man while he's sleeping and doing, just letting you know that, hey, see my relationship. So you have those people. We're always on a trip somewhere. We're always, oh my God, we're at another five-star restaurant. There's some of that stuff that is very real in relationships, but there is a rise of relationship influencers that are just popping up, and it's celebrities doing it too. Celebrities have long learned the value of an internet relationship or a public relationship, a stunt. But there are social media influencers that are in that same vein and in that same place who are feeling the same way, right? They're doing the exact same things, and so we have to be very careful that we are not looking at all of these things, right, that are fiction and thinking that they are facts and they are reality. They are not. Those are some glorified, amped up situation. And then we see these people a few months later, they're in disarray, they're in breakup, break up and break down and things like that. So you have to be very careful with that. You have to be very, very careful. Um, I'm gonna say for me, when I was online and my partner at the time, he initially was so excited to be, with me, just with me, right? And he had always been good at posting me on his Facebook and stuff like that. Now he didn't have a large platform, but enough, but it wasn't large or anything like that. And he would post me and stuff like that, and it was fine. And it was fine with me because I don't listen. If you can take him, if somebody did take him, but if you could take him, then take him. He wasn't meant for me, right? So I don't have that thing where a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to put my man out there because somebody's gonna steal him. However, if you could steal him, he wasn't never mine to begin with. I believe that. And I believe that about you too. If somebody can steal them, they wasn't yours to begin with. Let their ass go. Okay? Let them go. Save yourself some heartache later. Um, but I never felt a pressure to be overly romantic on the internet. I'd never felt a pressure to show him to people or anything like that. But what I will tell you happened is that at some point, as my platform began growing back then, people were saying things, and he and I were 8 years apart. I was 8 years older than him, and people began to say things, right? Now, of course, they're gonna make the gay stuff, and that's fine, right? Like, who cares about that, right? Like, you got 2 eyes and you can count to 2. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo. Tell me something I don't know, right? Tell me something we don't all know. But he started getting, like, hate DMs and hate messages and stuff like that, telling him he had, like, daddy issues and, like, "What do you see in this older guy?" And all this other stuff that he kept getting, and people, like, wanting to be with him and stuff like that. And so he had stopped posting me, and I really at first I didn't notice. At first I didn't notice, but at some point I kinda was like, I would see him get excited like he wanted to, and then he would stop. And I remember one day being like, "Babe, what's wrong? Like, what's happening?" And he was like, "No, nothing." And I was like, "No, something is bothering you or whatever." And I was like, "You haven't posted me on your page or whatever." And I knew he wanted to post a particular picture, but I saw him hesitate to post it. And he was like, "I mean, I'm just tired of what people have to say." And my heart really sank in my chest because I didn't really think about what me being on social media would do to him in terms of like people saying things to him or coming at him sideways. And so he showed me like a couple of DMs and I was mortified. I was mortified. And I think, not long after that, I went gone live, and I had laid into those people directly and specifically laid into those people in only the way that I can, because how dare you talk to my man like that? Like y'all are crazy out here. But I never had the pressure to show that we were something that we were not, or to amp up anything. I never had any pressure to put him on the internet. And I did not. I really didn't. And I understood when he never wanted to be in videos, and he may pop in one or two videos, and I would be like, okay, now. But I never made it a thing or requirement for him, because being on the internet is tough at times. There are going to be people that attack me for my sexuality. There are people that are going to attack me for my skin tone. There are going to be people that because I'm black, because of my race, right? And when I say skin tone, I've had people come at me to my, oh, this is light skin behavior. I was like, now what is light skin behavior? I've heard it before, but why are we talking to me about that? I'm a caramel delectable delight. But anyway, I started realizing that social media can be a very divisive thing. And if you allow it into your personal space, it can really erode what you have going on. And so, yes, there's really some real pressures in there for some people, and I've seen it. But there's also that other side of it, where, if you are in it, you are opening up yourself to those things, and you are susceptible to those, you and your partner, if you put it out there. So that's the other side of it too, right? But let me get back to the point that I was making here about it. Social media has just changed the way that we navigate, what we begin to expect from people, what we allow, how people view access to, either party in the situation. But the thing that happens, particularly in those formative days of dating, I want to talk about that. Ghosting, breadcrumbing, orbiting. These are behaviors that are amplified by social media access. Now, you all may be familiar with ghosting more so than breadcrumbing and orbiting. So, ghosting, of course, you're talking to somebody, you guys are seemingly off to a great start, and then boom, they disappear. Right? Breadcrumbing, I think, the best way I can say that is, if you've engaged with somebody, right, and you get those short responses, maybe at the beginning you guys are talking, but then all of a sudden you get one word responses, two-word responses, right? Maybe you guys started off and you were having good conversations. Now they're shorter, they're more sporadic in nature, spread out in nature. You know what I mean? That is breadcrumbing. And then orbiting. Orbiting is the act of people just like it sounds, kind of like circling the wagon. You know what I mean? Like one minute you're talking to them, the next minute you're not. Then they come back around and pop back, and then you're like, "Well, what are we doing?" But that's orbiting. But those behaviors are amplified by social media access, because people feel like the DMs are open, the comment sections are open. They're doing this with multiple different people. You know what I mean? And so that is just the level of access, and that is what has happened in the communication phase of trying to date with social media. And then let's talk about how the DMs have really blurred boundaries and made emotional cheating easier. We don't even know what emotional cheating is anymore, because we see somebody in a bathing suit, we see somebody with a hard cut up body and short shorts and a big pickle, and we're just like, ooh, we're hungry now. You know what I'm saying? So the DMs have really blurred boundaries for people, because in a world where you may compliment somebody and say, "Oh my God, that looks beautiful," or things like that, people are jumping in your DMs and saying, "Oh my God, I see that fat cat. Oh my God, I see that big pun." You know what I mean? Well, I could probably say it on here. Well, no, I can't. This is still a program, but you know what I'm saying? The big DICK, and then they want to suck on it, and then they're sending you pictures, thinking that it's okay to send you pictures of their body parts, and so the DMs have definitely blurred boundaries, right? But if you are in a relationship, right, and you are falling into looking at these, oh, there's nothing wrong with me looking, there's nothing wrong with me commenting, there's nothing wrong with sending tongue emojis in their DMs. I wasn't going to do anything anyway. Everybody says they're not going to do it until they actually do it. I will never cheat. Yeah, you ain't going to never cheat until you cheat. You know what I'm saying? So it makes emotional cheating much more easier and much more accessible, right? you get the person that you claim you want. I've had that happen to me. I can't tell you how many times I've had people chase me down. Like, let me get your phone number. I just want to talk to you. I see you all the time. Like, you're so beautiful. You are so beautiful to me. And then I'm like, okay, let me give you the time of day. And then as soon as I give them the time of day, then they start playing the games, the breadcrumbing, the orbiting. The ghosting doesn't happen to me as much, but the breadcrumbing and the orbiting definitely has happened to me in that particular in my time of singleness or whatever. And it just makes communication very, very tough. It makes emotional stability very, very tough with somebody when they're spreading their emotions over multiple platforms with multiple follower accounts and comments and all of those things, right? And then there's a very real decline of direct communication and then the rise of passive connection, right? I remember going on a date with somebody and he would not get off the phone. He was just a texting, he was looking at the social media. And when we sat down at the table, I kind of just was like, I always put my phone and I put it in my pocket if I can. If not, I'll carry a wallet that my phone can fit in the wallet. And I'll be like, okay, I'm not gonna be on my phone because I'm here to get to know you, right? I can get back to the rest of the social sphere or whatever I'm doing when I get done. Ain't nothing if it's an emergency, call 911. And so I just remember being on a date with him and he just was in his phone. I said, so are you gonna be on your phone or are you gonna be over here with me? Like, which one you gonna do or whatever? He's like, oh, my bad, my bad. I just was watching this thing and stuff like that. I was like, I don't know who those people are that you're watching, but I'm sure that'll still be there when we get done. He's like, "Okay, my bad, my bad." But I could tell that he was just kinda like, "What's the problem? Like, get on your phone or stuff." But why go on a date if that's what we're gonna do, right? And so that was our first and last date. But I also went on a date with someone who, when I was trying to talk to him, he wouldn't even really talk. Like, it's almost as if he, lost the knack and the know-how for the English language and how to communicate with people because he would not communicate. But I remember going to the bathroom and then he's texting me while I'm in the bathroom. And I'm like, I'm coming back to the table. Talk to me like while I'm here. Like, I don't understand. So when I got back to the table, he was still texting me while I was sitting at the table. And I was like, you could just ask me what you want to ask. I don't know why we're texting and I'm sitting right here at the table with you. This just seems a little awkward for me. But again, the rise of passive connection, I'm like, "Okay." But then also, like, I don't wanna be with somebody where I think at a certain point, right, you can be in the same room, not in those very formative moments, right? I think you should be really getting to know each other and figuring out if you can go the distance. For me, it's more important now because, again, I am almost 40 and I look at it, I only have 20 good years left to do all the things that I wanna do, a good 20. And so I don't have time to waste 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Well, Imma stick with 5. I don't have time to waste another 5 years with somebody that is not looking for forever. And that is one of the things that I say now or whatever. I see all of these pop the balloon shows and these dating shows and these people talk about dating and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm looking for something substantial. I'm looking for something long term." And I'm like, "Child, I don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to hear none of that. The answer I want to hear is I'm looking for forever." Okay? Forever is the right answer for me. That is the golden ticket. Okay? Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, that is the golden ticket. Okay? You have won a lifetime supply of Michael's chocolate. Well, really caramel chocolate delight, all the things. But to me, you need to be telling me you looking for forever, not, "Oh, I'm looking for a long term," or, "Oh, yeah, I'm looking to be with somebody." I don't wanna hear that because 'cause y'all don't really wanna be with anybody. Y'all really don't. Y'all just say that because it sounds good. If you are looking for your lifetime partner ready, expecting, however you wanna phrase that, I know y'all like to split hairs, but if you're ready for the rest of your life with somebody, that's what you should be saying. Like, you should be saying that, "I'm looking for my husband or my husband or my they, them," or whatever the hell it is that you're looking for. You should be saying that. "I'm looking for that forever." Now you get cool points if you say, "I'm looking for you." Now that's really it right there. Let's just go on and wrap this on up. Let's go put the rings on the layaway and all that stuff, and then we just gonna go up and about our business. Okay, we get married tomorrow. Because if somebody that is one of my things though. And people have asked me, "Oh, Michael, I don't see why you would have trouble dating. I don't have a problem getting anybody. Getting someone is not my problem. Staying with someone is the problem. Keeping someone, wanting to keep somebody, them wanting to keep me is the problem, right? Like, I want to be with whoever I'm with for the rest of this good 20 years I got left and beyond. I want to spend the rest of my good years with somebody doing good things together. I don't have time to be doing 2 and 3 year stints with people. But I can't do the passive connection, right? Not at the beginning. And I shouldn't say not at the beginning, because what I was really wanting to speak to was sometimes when you've been with somebody, you guys can be in the same room with each other. You guys can be making contact or what, but you guys will be doing your own things. I'm not talking about that because somebody will come in and be like, that's clingy. No, 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 no. You're thinking down here. You're thinking micro. I need you to come up to macro. You're thinking micro. Let's come up to macro, okay? I'm more so talking about when you are really getting to know people and you're really in that dating phase or whatever, not the honeymoon stage, not when you are becoming stable with each other. I'm talking about that, right? So, ego, validation, attention, and self worth. Ego, validation, attention, and self worth are heavily tied to likes, views, and followers, like I said. These things are social currency for people. Like, the more I can get people to look at me, to like me, and say ooh and ah about me and about my relationship, the more validated I feel, the more I feel like I'm worth something. But all of that, honestly, is just ego. All of that is ego talking. And love and ego don't exist in the same places. They cannot. Love and ego do not fit in the same place. Both of them are too big. They're both giants. They are both Herculean giants, and they cannot exist in that same space with each other. One is going to knock the other one out always. It's going to be a constant battle. Ego wants to take over and control. Love wants to come in and feel and secure. Those two things cannot exist in the same space. They cannot. But social media can inflate people's egos so high that they feel untouchable, that they feel like they are above and beyond reproach, that they are just the cat's meow. But social media, in the same instance, in the same breath, can deepen insecurities because you're going to continue to need people to corroborate and validate that ego of yours, right? You're going to be looking for it. And what happens is, I see a lot of people when they're not getting the likes, when they're not getting the shares, they don't feel valued. They don't feel like there's any worth. You know what I mean? They don't feel like they're popping. If they don't get the attention, if nobody's clapping, the same reason why people go to the club and sit up against the wall and they're mad at everybody else having a good time, right? But if you were in their face, say, "Oh my God, I love you. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God," they would be so happy. They would be so happy. So there's very real tension between wanting to be chosen and wanting to be seen, right? Like I told you, ego and love cannot live in the same place together. They don't. Love wants to come in and feel insecure. Ego wants to take over. Ego just wants to take over. Ego wants to be brutish. So that's just not how that works. But there's very real tension in there. Um, I will be honest with you and say that attention for me online is it's interesting. I've never been one to be really enthralled or captured by attention, by compliments or any of the things. I actually write about it in my book One Day at a Time that is available on themichaelexperience.com and Amazon and Kindle, where I talk about life, love, and all of the pursuit of. So make sure you get your copy. But I talk about a very real moment in the last chapter, which is The War in the Mirror, and that is about my self work. I had the hardest time accepting compliments from people because I thought compliments were mainly transactional. I thought people would be complimenting certain things because they wanted something. So for me, the clicks and the views and the attention, they didn't really fuel anything in me, no ego or anything like that. If anything, it honestly made me in a lot of cases be like, okay, like, what are you here for? Like, there was just bells going off in my head, like, well, what are you here for? You know what I mean? But for me, they did the attention doesn't really fuel or feel anything for me, right? If you like it, like it. If you don't, you don't. Whatever. I'm gonna move on. Now, from a entrepreneurial aspect, from creating, I look at that stuff and I'm like, okay, I need to see how y'all are rocking with things so I can see what you like. But in terms of dating, I don't care nothing about that. I don't. If nobody else for the rest of my life says I'm beautiful, handsome, gorgeous, or any other things, I am okay with it. If I never get another compliment about my eyes, if I never get another compliment about my lips, I am 1000% okay with it because none of that really ever did it never did anything to me, you know? But for a lot of people, having that attention can be intoxicating. It's kinda like celebrities. A lot of them get, to celebrity status, they get known, they get the applause and the lights and the cameras, and then they get to really feeling themselves, as they say back in the day. So, has it really ruined dating? Has social media really ruined dating? I always say that there is duality to everything and everyone. There's duality in all of us and in all the things that we do. I guess the nuance would be social media really is a way to meet people, is a good way to meet people, to learn, to build community. Hi, TME fam. That is all of you all that follow me on TikTok and everywhere else you follow me too. Y'all are part of my TME fam too. That's what I call it, the Michael Experience fam. So you all are part of it too. But that originated from TikTok. Shout out to that community that we built later, but you know that it does help you to meet people, learn about different backgrounds, build a community. It has given more visibility to Black people, queer people, marginalized love stories, like I said, seeing Kason and Amari, seeing other people who are, just living their lives. I love seeing Brad and Judy out in the world now. I love that Queen Latifah is starting to open up and express herself. Now, I don't need these people to give me the ins and outs or nothing like that. But the visibility is absolutely amazing because for those of us that grew up in a small town, I grew up in Kokomo, Indiana. I didn't see these things, and social media wasn't around at that particular time. So for the people that are growing into, you know what I mean, their romanticism and growing into their love languages and love relationships and things like that, I think having the visibility and the possibility models available is just amazing, right? But yeah, visibility for queer people, queer Black people in general, and other marginalized stories. I love seeing other cultures show love. Yeah. And then there's access to information. There's therapy content when it's done responsibly. Um, you know, um, I think there's a emotional vocabulary that is present that past generations didn't have. I think this social culture and Gen Z and Gen Alpha are really good at saying the thing. I'm a millennial. I guess I would be considered a slightly older millennial, I guess at this point, but that's okay. We love millennials. I'm a millennial. So, anyway, back to the story at hand or whatever. But Gen Z and Gen Alpha have done an amazing job just saying the thing, right? Sometimes it's jarring because we're so used to a practicum and a way of doing it. And we're like, okay, now you didn't have to be so abrasive, but there is very real beauty in the emotional vocabulary that has happened because of social media. People are more expressive. People say the things that nobody wants to say, but we are thinking. And so I love that that is happening. So, I guess, a more balanced take would be that social media didn't ruin dating, but it just magnified what was already there. And I think that that is a sentiment that a lot of us can, at least in some capacity, give acknowledgement to. People are going to be exactly who they are when their issues put under a magnifying glass or a microscope, they become larger. They just become larger. That is the nature of how that happens. But I believe that people are going to become who they are meant to become, and social media just allows them to do more of that, to become more of themselves much quicker. Honestly, a person that is going to use it for the right things is going to use it for the right things, and the people that are going to use it for the wrong things are going to use it for the wrong things, as with anything. So I guess what I would say to people who are dating now who feel like, social media has ruined dating, I would say that it has not ruined it, but it has definitely magnified those very real issues, and the accessibility part of it has made it more difficult to navigate, right? But here's some advice, as you are shifting and sifting through love at this particular point in this social climate, right? Set boundaries with your phone and your heart. Date with intention, not impulse, right? It's good to see somebody who looks good, body is just right, vicious in all the ways and stuff like that. But think about what you really want with that person or from that person. Think about what you're available for. That is a question that in this phase of my life, I'm really thinking about. I'm not asking people what they are looking for. I'm asking, what are you available for? I found that little tidbit a couple weeks ago watching a podcast, and I said, aha, I am tucking that in my cap. And if I see somebody, I'm gonna give the tip to them too. But date with intention, not impulse, right? And what are you available for? And please do not let the algorithm define your standards. All of these curated feeds, all of these things that come up, hashtag couple goals, hashtag, hashtag, hashtag. Your relationship is not a hashtag. It is not. It is your heart. It is your mind, body, and spirit. Okay. It is deeply personal. It is deeply personalized, customized just for you and whoever you are with. And I want you to continue to let that define it and not the algorithm. The algorithm can't tell you anything, right? It can suggest, but it shouldn't be telling you anything, right? And prioritize real connection over digital performance. If you find that you are getting caught up in the likes and the people saying things and all of the scuttlebutt around you, oh my God, you guys are couples goals. I bet you never do this. Oh my God, I would love to see you guys do this. If you feel like you are getting caught up in that, I want you to take that phone and power it down. I want you to take it and power it down and both of you, and go spend time with each other. If you find that you are getting sucked into social media expectations, power that phone down today and just go sit with that person, sit with them. And if you can't be content with that person, you might need to leave your phone off for a couple of days and you might need to recenter around your foundation, right? Which is the two of you. Recenter around you to put them phones down. It'll be all right. If it's an emergency, they can call 911, right? But prioritize the real connection over digital performance. So, I'm going to say this to you all as you walk away from this conversation. Dating isn't dead, right? It's not dead. It's just a little loud right now. And social media has made it even noisier, right? All of the noise of the social media, but it has made it noisier, but not impossible. The real question isn't whether social media ruined dating. It's whether we're willing to date with clarity, where with intention, in a world that is also full of distraction, right? I want you to reflect when you walk away from here on your own digital habits. And I want you to share in the comments some things that you've experienced in dating, whether it be social media or otherwise, right? Whether it's something that you just observed. I want you to share it and so that we can keep the conversation going and so that we can build community and we can continue to talk through these very real issues. Because if you're like me, you are a lover of love, okay? A purveyor of peace, okay? And you prefer presence over perfection. You get what I'm saying? Just give me your presence. Be who you are, okay? And we are not going to rest until we get the love that we want and that we so desperately, we might not be desperate now, y'all. Well, some of us might be desperate, and that's a whole nother thing. Y'all have to get my book to learn about my own desperations and stuff like that. But I want you to reflect on your digital habits. Share down here in the comment section some things that you've gone through, some things that you've seen, and even add to the conversation. This might be a part two because I've been hearing this conversation all around the internet. Okay. This has been the Michael Experience Podcast. I thank you all so much for the time. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Click on that notification bell as well so that you get the notifications when we have a new episode or anything dropping here. Make sure you follow the Michael Experience and the Michael Experience Podcast so you can be up on all the things that I'm involved in, okay? And I will see y'all on the next one. Peace and love, y'all. Bye.